How UNLV is standing with dreamers after a math instructor threatened to report his undocumented students.
And more on the Rebel Yell's new name in an interview with the newspaper's editor-in-chief. Stay with us for all the latest updates. Studio G starts right now.
Thanks for kicking off the weekend with another episode of Studio G. I'm Kaylee Kirby.
And I'm Jocelyn Luna. We start today's show with news of students and faculty demanding the expulsion of math graduate assistant Gregory Butch after threatening to report undocumented students to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE.
The conversation between the part-time instructor Michael Butch and a student went viral after Butch publicly announced on Facebook that he would turn in undocumented students to ICE and that there were no safe spaces in his classroom, as he also called students illegals and criminals. Community organizations, students, and faculty held a press conference at the Free Speech Zone to demand Butch be reprimanded. They also instilled the abolishment of hate crimes like this one by securing the safety of DACA students by making it a sanctuary campus.
It's much bigger than just a professor. I think that UNLV needs to come out and vocally say that it's going to be a sanctuary campus, that there are strict protections for our undocumented students, that we're not going to collaborate with ICE.
Allies also announced that it's more than just the hateful comments of one professor. While students spoke on the issue, the part-time instructor gave UNLV an exclusive statement.
All right, first I want to offer my deepest apology for putting everyone in this situation. You may or may not have seen the Facebook posts. I'm extremely sorry for the comments. I know how hurtful they are to many of you. It was intended to be a joke, although clearly a poor one. I have never, nor will I ever create a classroom of hate or intolerance. However, if you feel uncomfortable or threatened by being in this classroom after today, you should contact the dean or math department chair, and appropriate accommodations will be made.
Students say that they will not let the situation pass unnoticed and have reported the conversation to the Office of Compliance, along with President Len Jessup and Student Body President Carlos Fernandez.
When there are concerned students that email me and let me know that there is something wrong in our institution, I am here to help them fix it.
The Office of Compliance responded through email stating their support for documented and undocumented students and, quote, that all allegations of intimidation, bullying, and harassment are taken seriously, end quote.
I would like to see real consequences for that because I don't think any professor, anyone that has authority within a university should say such negative things about the students that they are supposed to be representing and educating.
No details have been released yet about what further steps UNLV will take against Butch. Another UNLV student reported more threats from the professor stating he will contact a lawyer if any further libelous reviews of him on Rate My Professor are posted.
I actually walked past that the other day on my way to class, and I had no idea what was going on until I got to class and I saw it, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I hope that UNLV just continues to move towards just being a safe campus.
Yeah, same. For many college business majors, founding an organization or company is the ultimate goal. But doing it while in college is a different kind of challenge. A group of UNLV students have created a nonprofit organization to help kids from around the world. Studio G reporter Samantha Rose Kiumalu got the chance to speak with Dane Johnson about Operation Brush.
Operation Brush is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that distributes biodegradable toothbrushes to children in developing countries. The Las Vegas-based company is headed by President Dane Jonas, a UNLV business major and philanthropist who founded the organization.
Operation Brush got started in 2014 for my two cousins. They did a school project where they collected 700 toothbrushes and sent them to children in Ecuador. And then when I looked into it, I realized that people all over the world didn't have toothbrushes. And on top of that, the education surrounding oral hygiene was wasn't very sufficient. As I dug more and more into it, I found that not a lot of nonprofits look into this for oral hygiene. So then I just figured, why not go for it and try to start it from the ground up.
Operation Brush purchases toothbrushes from Wu Bamboo, a Florida-based company that makes biodegradable toothbrushes out of specific bamboo from China that pandas do not eat. 100% of the money from donations go to the purchasing of these toothbrushes and sending them to various countries.
The first one that we did called Souls Helping Souls in Costa Rica, they reached out to us and we sent them toothbrushes, and then that was it. And then we realized, well, these toothbrushes aren't going to last forever. We would partner with certain nonprofits that agreed to accept toothbrushes from us every 6 months or once a year. We send them basically replenishment, and then they go there with our toothbrushes.
In bulk, plastic toothbrushes cost around a penny each, as compared to Wu Bamboo's 75 cents each. Although it is more expensive, the organization purchases biodegradable toothbrushes to reduce the amount of waste going into local landfills. To date, Operation Brush has sent out about 4,000 toothbrushes and are expected to reach 5,000 by the end of 2016.
We've gotten stories back from children who cried when they got toothbrushes, because they've seen them before, but they never, had one themselves, and especially when they were told about the importance of them. In the beginning, when we sent someone who lived in the United States to go to a place, he was like a really hardcore guy, biker, all these tattoos, and he went there, he passed out the toothbrushes, and the kids were so thankful and appreciative of such a basic tool. He broke down and started to cry. So I think it not only impacts the children on a personal level, but it also impacts the people who get to witness for themselves.
Along with toothbrushes, Operation Brush also sends oral hygiene surveys in order to collect data to see what each of these countries are in need of most.
If you can just take a small time, out of your day and out of your life to help other people, you can gain real valuable experience.
There are a couple of ways that you can get involved with Operation Brush. The first is through online donations. The second is by volunteering for their fireworks stand fundraisers. For more information, visit www.operationbrush.org. For Studio G, I'm Samantha Rose Keomalu.
If you can't do those things, you can also like the Operation Brush Facebook page or share tweets and posts to support the organization. Operation Brush is currently looking into including biodegradable floss and other products in future packages, but still need to work out the finances for it. Although with toothbrushes being the most important tool for oral hygiene, they can expect to see an improvement in the lives of these children.
Studio G reporter Yvonne Garcia got an inside look at the state of mental illness in Nevada. Yvonne?
Dr. Andrew Freeman. I'm an assistant professor of psychology at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. What we see around gender typically is that the stigma is kind of almost the reverse of what we see in a lot of other places, where women are typically more likely to seek services and receive services than men. Our kind of modern treatment studies are focused a little bit more typically on women than men, and so it's actually men in the gender realm seem to not seek mental health services. And what we also know is that kind of like how we have food deserts where we don't have grocery stores in neighborhoods, we also have mental health service deserts where populations don't have access to it. And overall, population-wise, I think the statistics for Las Vegas, for every 3 mental health providers we should have for the Clark County, we have 1. So it's kind of, when we look at the big picture, it's a kind of a desert. When we start thinking about specific parts of Las Vegas, what we see that some parts of Las Vegas are going to be better served than other parts. It's more affluent neighborhoods, which tend to be whiter neighborhoods, have much better access in a kind of already barren place, have much better access to services than folks who are in less affluent neighborhoods.
Thanks, Yvonne. UNLV is working on many different aspects to improve our city's state of mental health. After the break, we'll have all your latest weather updates with James Schaefer for the next 4 days.
far as Studio G, at first it looks overwhelming, and at first it looks like it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, it's the most beneficial class I've had at UNLV to date, without a doubt. You get to not only develop stories and work on your interviewing skills, your editing skills, and your shooting skills from a camera perspective, you get to work on all the equipment that's in the studio. So you're working on audio, you're working on directing, tech directing. You get to produce your own show. You can take a 30-minute newscast and make it your own. And that's really cool about Studio G. Like I said, a lot of it seems overwhelming at first, but it is by far the best class I've taken at UNLV since I've been here.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm James Schaefer with your weather forecast. Let's start off with looking at what's happened for today. Of course, we have our high 54, which is a bit regular and temperate to what we should expect for this week as compared to what we've experienced in years past. Experienced a little bit of overcast weather, so it's not too cloudy, but just enough that it doesn't look like it's going to be clear. Our low is 40, of course, and that's what we should see for the rest of the week. But let's go ahead and take a look at our picture for the day. Our picture, of course, comes from Fairview in Washington, D.C. Just a beautiful sunset. They're experiencing clear weather, not a cloud in the sky, not even raining at all. But let's go ahead and take a look at our 4-day forecast and what we have. And we have a little bit of, cold and just a wind warning coming on in. We've colored in Friday and Saturday here just so that you're able to acknowledge that we do have a freeze warning in effect and a wind advisory, and that's going from this afternoon till tomorrow evening. We're carrying it over from where it was yesterday. Of course, for the rest of the valley, we see, for the rest of the week rather, for a 4-day forecast, it's going to be pretty cloudy and the lows will be in the 40s, but let's go ahead and take a look at the valley itself from Centennial all the way down to Boulder City. The temperature really isn't that different all across. The only thing that is different is that if you are up in Nellis and Boulder City, you will be experiencing extended watch for that wind advisory. 52 and 51, 50, not that different again, but we will be seeing a high pressure front coming in to the valley, making it for much windier weather for next week as well, which will be able to blow out all that dust and make it so it's all clear so we're able to see the beautiful sky. But let's go ahead and look at the rest of the country. We have snow from Alberta all the way down to the northern Rockies. We do see that high pressure front moving in from the Pacific Ocean, bringing in those colder temps, which is very seasonal. What isn't seasonal, however, is the Midwest is experiencing its big explosion of it's snow for probably next week up in Chicago and Detroit for the Midwest, and for the East Coast, of course, we have that clear, wonderful weather I think that we should expect for the rest of the valley for next week. Rain down in New Orleans and a little bit in Florida, but none that we will see here. Man, I wish it would snow, don't you guys?
I definitely do. It snowed, I don't know, 10 years ago, who knows?
Yeah,
I wish it would again.
Like I remember building a snowman like when I was 7. It's like that's the last time that we had snow, but wind, of course, for today and this week, but of course, it won't bother you guys because you always look wonderful no matter what the wind or weather.
Thank you. Yes. We try. And stay with us after the break. Reporter Mary Jane Belieza talks with the school newspaper's editor-in-chief about its name change and paper's future.
Sunday evening jazz. I mainly play a lot of contemporary jazz music from the 1960s up until about 2012, 2013. When I go on, just explain who it was, the name of the song, the name of the artist, maybe the name of the album, their career. I just hope that everybody enjoys it and appreciate it for the kind of music it is and how great it is. My name is Sam and I host Sunday Evening Jazz on the rebelhd2.com.
Our Metropolis is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our Metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
Your community's farmers market. Welcoming, lively, friendly. A place where neighbors and friends come together to celebrate their community. With over 50 vendors, organic, sustainable, fresh produce are available just for you. Support and buy local at Fresh 52.
UNLV's college newspaper underwent several recent changes, which included funding and a name change. Now formerly known as the Rebel Yell, the name has changed to a few others since it started in 1955 before changing back to the original name in 1992. The idea of a name change first sparked traction with Senator Harry Reid in June 2015, and after an editor of the student-run paper tied it to racism. The Rebel Yell name paid homage to a Confederate battle call used by soldiers in the American Civil War. The mascot Hey Reb, created in the 1980s by a cartoonist, is based off a 19th Mountaineer explorer, but some students believe the mascot is a reflection of the paper as he closely resembles a Confederate general. The paper, now known as the Scarlet and Gray Free Press, is a reflection of the school's colors and will continue to produce twice a week in print and online.
And joining us today is Bianca Cheka, the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. Thank you for joining us today, Bianca. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, so we know that the newspaper is now known as the Scarlet and Gray Free Press, and I know you guys went through a lot of different choices. Why did you guys decide to choose this name instead?
So we originally took names, like people could submit any name they thought would be a good option, and in August we narrowed them down to our top 5, had those approved by our advisory board, and then we ended up having 4 that were approved to go into voting. The student body and alumni voted on the top 4 to decide what the top 2 would be, and after that we had our street team go around campus asking people in person which name they would prefer, the Rebel Review or the Scarlet and Gray Free Press, and why. And a lot of people liked the Rebel Review because it was short, sounded better, but the Scarlet and Gray Free Press had better meaning behind it. And we would rather be known, or we would rather have a name for its meaning than for how it sounds only.
Yeah, and I like the way it sounds, and it does represent our school colors, so I think that's another great way to pay homage to the school newspaper. There was a lot of criticism saying that the Rebel Yell was tied to Confederacy, and that made it very racist, and there's a lot of controversial issues with that. Do you think that name affected the funding of the paper?
I don't think the name is directly connected to the funding of the paper. Right now, some people might be really upset that we changed the name and they don't want to donate to help save us. But the funding issues have been going on for a long time. Ad revenue has been going down for years, and even though it's been up a little bit this semester, it's still not enough to keep us afloat. And the administration has said that they would help us find outside donors, possibly, if we changed the name immediately. And that was back in August. But even then, they said they didn't have it within their budget to keep us fully funded. Whether they will change their minds about that now that we have officially changed the name, or officially will with the advisory board on December 5th, that we'll see what they say at that point. But up until now, it hasn't been directly connected.
Yeah. Well, other than the name change, what other changes can we expect with the paper?
I mean, we are in a pretty dire funding situation right now. We do have different options. Some bigger donors and organizations have contacted us, and we're looking into different partnerships. And we have our GoFundMe campaign still going. Ad revenue is still coming in. So right now it's not as dire as it was at the beginning of the semester when it looked like we wouldn't have any money left for next semester. But it is not really official just yet, but we would not go online only just because we wouldn't get that revenue that we need from that. So right now it's basically we stay as a weekly printed edition with a website, or we're not around at all.
Right. No, I totally understand that. Now, I know the name change for the newspaper has changed a lot before going back to its original name, to the Rebel Yell back in 1992. Do you think this name is going to stick with the paper from now on?
I think this will stick, in part because from my understanding, the names that were in the past, the Yell or the Yell and Rebel, they were never made really official by the advisory board. So the advisory board was always called the Rebel Yell Advisory Board. And even though not everyone might agree that the students should have the final say on that, or the advisory board should, it wasn't finalized, and eventually it just went back, and no one even knows why it went back. We can't figure out the exact history of it. So a lot of people have been calling it the Yale, like alumni, even though we haven't been known as the Yale officially for a long time, just as a shortened version. So there's probably going to be some shortened version of the Scarlet and Gray Free Press, but other than some alumni who are really sticklers for sticking with tradition, I do think that this will stick.
And what went into the thought process of putting the Scarlet and Gray Free Press name together? Was it faculty that went for it first, students? Does the staff have a big part in say of how they changed the name?
Yeah, so the staff made the final decision based on feedback. And we did solicit names from the faculty, alumni, students, everybody, but we and the advisory board picked the top names. And the reason Scarlet and Gray Free Press made it into the top choices for voting was, one, Free Press reflects the fact that we're the only truly independent news source on campus. Right. We're not tied to even the journalism school. We're not tied to any department. We're just our own separate entity, kind of like student government. Like, we're not tied to any department as a class or anything. And Scarlet and Gray are the school colors. A lot of people are saying that we have no like respect for tradition or pride in UNLV because we're trying to change the name, but that's not true. We don't have a problem with the Rebels nickname. We don't have a problem with the school colors. So we wanted to have some kind of connection to the school's traditions still.
And I love that it's still sticking to the tradition of it, but it's also kind of like modifying it in a new way that where it reflects to everyone's opinion. Bianca, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you coming. And after the break, reporter Peter Lakasha will have your world news update. Stay tuned.
You don't get to do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for a journalism major. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
Happy Friday, Rebels. I am Peter Lakasha here with what's going on around the world. Australian schoolboys recreate a life-saving drug for just $20 compared to Martin Shkreli's tablet of Daraprim for $750. The 17-year-olds created the drug with the active ingredient pyrethymine in their school science laboratory in Sydney. In most countries, the drug retails for less than $50 per pill. Russian President Vladimir Putin conducted his annual State of the Nation address Thursday in Moscow, saying his country is prepared to cooperate with the new U.S. administration. Relations between the U.S. and Russia are at their lowest point since the Cold War, amid tensions over Syria. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has praised Putin as a firm leader, and the pair have indicated they want ties to improve. A new tech startup has set themselves a massive task, registering all newborn babies digitally. The app, called iCivil Africa, has developed a birth certificate system which involves a smartphone, a bracelet, and encoded text messages. The company hopes the new system will make birth certificates in sub-Saharan Africa more accessible, where more than half of newborns currently go unregistered. China is building a life-size replica of the Titanic in a landlocked country more than 700 miles from the sea. The project will measure more than 800 feet in length and is expected to cost around 1 billion yuan, or $145 million upon completion. And hopefully this one doesn't sink. That's all I have for World News. I'm Peter Lakasha. Back to Kaylee and Jocelyn at the desk.
Thanks for that, Peter. A 19-year-old Somali American became the first fully covered Muslim to compete in the Miss Minnesota USA pageant on Sunday. Halima Aden wore a hijab and burkini with a headscarf during the swimsuit portion of the pageant. Aden said she wants to break barriers for Muslim women and be an inspiration for Muslim girls.
I just like the fact that people are talking about it, and I've been getting lots of messages from Muslim girls telling me about stuff that they overcome, like bullying or people calling them towelhead or raghead, and then just, you know, sharing with me that my story has motivated them. It's just made all this worth it.
The St. Cloud State University freshmen made it to the semifinals round of 15 contestants, but did not advance to the final 5. 22-year-old Meredith Gold was crowned 2017 Miss Minnesota USA. She will go on to compete at the televised Miss USA pageant next year.
The Magical Forest at Opportunity Village is celebrating its 25th anniversary. It's been a tradition in Las Vegas to just take a stroll through all the Christmas tree garden or hitch a ride on the Forest Express. Reporter Sherelle Moore put on a holiday apron and volunteered there this past weekend.
It's a family tradition, as you can hear the families in the background. For 25 years, we've just opened up our doors, and it's grown to be a community-sponsored, cherished magical event.
One of Las Vegas's oldest holiday traditions is back. The Magical Forest at Opportunity Village is officially open for the season. And just know that when you buy a ticket here, it's going to a special cause.
Provide programs and services for adults with intellectual disabilities, and we are the largest employer of adults with intellectual disabilities here in Las Vegas, if not the country.
This is Opportunity Village's 25th year anniversary, so there's tons of surprises. You can walk through the Magical Forest or enjoy a ride on the train. Or you can come and volunteer. Don't be afraid to put on a smock and get to work.
We rely on about 80 to 100 volunteers to help us operate our forest every night. We could not do it without the support of our community partners and volunteers, and UNLV is on the top of that list with all sorts of different departments and organizations. And they do operate it. They serve the hot cocoa, they run the train, they run the carousel, they greet you at the door. So we are so proud of our volunteers and the work that they do for us year after year.
The Magical Forest isn't the only big event put on by Opportunity Village. It's almost time to put on your red hat and suits because the Great Las Vegas Santa Run is tomorrow morning.
We do hold the trophy for the largest Santa Run in the world currently, and we're vying for that again coming up on December 3rd. That is Saturday. It's downtown. We'll fill the streets with thousands of wonderful people from all over the city and even travel in and put on a Santa suit and walk and run for Opportunity Village. The run starts at 10 a.m. The walk starts at 10:30. You can register day of and pick up a Santa suit at the Mob Museum.
The Magical Forest is open every day except for Christmas, but you only have December. The last day to catch a ride on the Forest Express is January 1st.
It's just a night to come out and walk with your family. It's very family friendly. We have a wonderful night, entertainment going on at different stages. So it's just a beautiful holiday experience.
Tickets to the Magical Forest cost $12, but you can earn free tickets by volunteering for the Santa Run tomorrow morning downtown near the Mob Museum. You can register online at www.lasvegassantarun.org.
So have you ever been to the Magical Forest, Keely?
No, I haven't, but watching that video, it looks really cool, so I think I'm going to go down there.
It is a great time. It's really cute. I think you should.
Yeah, I'm going to. Sounds fun. Maybe I'll go to Santa Run too. Get my free ticket there. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to follow us on social media.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday for our last week of Studio G. Don't miss it.
Gonna flow. Like bull riding, I would be good at bull riding.
Oh, that's an excellent
You know,
sport.
if Stanford pine tree wouldn't be good at bull riding at all.
A palm tree.
Sways very well too.